This is the start of race 3 in Plymouth. We're up high in the box, coming in with speed. On the foils, where all sort of the packer boats below us are H1 or 2 hulls in the water. I think there's probably roughly 10 seconds to go at this stage, and there's quite a big gap there. We pull the trigger and go for it, and all the time you're sort of assessing, is it on or not? Based on the fact that Denmark was really slow, USA was also quite slow below them, we've decided it was definitely on.
We can see what kind of the Spanish guys are thinking, that they're going to try and sneak in at the windward end of the line. You've also got Denmark and then the USA down to leeward. So the Danes have got to keep clear of the Americans, and the Spanish have got to keep clear of everyone.
Didn't feel like we infringed Denmark, and probably got a little bit high on our foils. And what happens there when you turn up is you slide sideways a little and close the gap on America quite fast. So I felt it was probably a little infringement on America, but not worthy of a black flag in my mind.
Getting into the onboards here, you see that the Spanish are now coming in, and they're basically launching it from a long way out. They've got options to bail out, but I don't think bailing out was ever their plan. They're coming in. They think they can get away with it, and they're going to try and sneak in.
This is on board, obviously. Same situation. All the time I'm sort of assessing it, realise we can just sneak in there based on our speed. Interesting view. I think a lot of people think we're going quite fast there, but for us that's quite controllable. I think we're doing 30 to 40 kilometres an hour in that situation. The guys below us are doing below 20 kilometres an hour, so quite slow. So on screen I know it looks fast, and it's definitely fast for sailing, but for us it's quite a slow and controllable speed, I would say.
On board with the US guys here, they're looking at Denmark. Denmark have got to keep clear. The Americans don't have to do anything there. And you can see that there's going to be an issue as we get to that mark. The Spanish have still got an option to get out. They decide to press across the front. And then you see Jimmy put the helm down really hard there to avoid a contact.
Obviously our boat wasn't foiling. The Spanish team came in, they started higher in the box and came ripping in on the foils. Wasn't a whole lot of space between us and the Danish, and then the actual windward end of the line, so where that start mark is. And the Spanish clearly broke the rule, and they've definitely 100% been repeat offenders of that. And yeah, I mean, the black flag is pretty harsh, but I think it needed to happen. The last thing we need is for boats to be smashing into each other.
The Spanish boat is the windward boat in that situation, and the American boat is the leeward boat, and the USA boat had to take avoiding action in order to avoid contact. And so therefore, in that case, the Spanish boat breaks Rule 11, which is windward boat not keeping clear. The Spanish boat did have an option. They could have bailed out earlier, and that's something that we've kind of discussed in the past, but there's no way that anyone's ever going to bail out of that situation, because often it's cheaper to take the penalty than it is to do the big circle round. But now with disqualifying people for that particular maneuver, it's not cheaper to take a penalty. The penalty in SailGP is a 20-meter penalty. You go behind the boat that you've infringed by 20 meters. And we keep the penalties small because, you want to be able to give a penalty and make a punishment that fits the crime. And sometimes the crimes aren't that big. But then when the crimes do get bigger and bigger, you're going to work out how many penalties you should give in order to make the punishment fit the crime. And the disqualification's the ultimate punishment.
I 100% agree. I think it's the right call. Again, Phil's been a repeat offender of the same thing over and over. It's definitely high risk, and in this fleet, it's such a strong fleet that doing high risk moves, it might pay off a race here, a race there, but you're consistently, you run the risk of getting a black flag. And in a long season, it's not going to pay off. And yeah, you heard one of the guys, I think that was Jimmy, got a bit animated. I got pretty animated. I didn't get personal, but it got animated. And we're lucky the boats weren't going faster. Had they been going faster, and you've kind of got a bunch of boats stacked up, sailing towards the windward end of the line, we don't have anywhere to go. The Danish don't have anywhere to go. We don't have anywhere to go because we have boats to leeward. So all of a sudden it just becomes this pile up. And that's the last thing we need is someone to get hurt or to smash boats up. And
we did actually break rule 11, which is the windward boat has to keep clear, and that was against USA. Very minor, and it happens all the time, that rule in that situation. Nikolai was also under rule 11. He had to keep clear of USA, and he did that, and we slightly infringed. So yeah, a standard rule break, I would say, in the sport of sailing. Definitely not worth a black flag penalty. I think, again, the umpire's got the ability to black flag people in the start for stuff that's obviously dangerous and can cause damage to the boats. In that situation, we're traveling quite slow, 30 kilometers an hour, 30 to 40. USA's doing under 20. So everyone's really slow and in control there. And to me, it wasn't. It was a light-air day, it was under 15 kilometers an hour, sort of 8 knots, really. So light-air day, and boats are in a lot of control. So for us, it was an easy decision to go in there. We slightly infringed USA. I do agree on that, but I don't think it was worthy of a black flag.
The rule's always been there, and so we've always had that as an option. It's just that it's never really been sort of pushed as this is what we want to do. This is the path we want to go down. So certainly, with it being a small penalty, we want to keep the boats on the course. We want to keep them racing. So disqualifying someone's that's a massive thing. After Bermuda, it became pretty obvious that what we really don't want is $500,000 damage, from a crash, which wipes 2 boats out. Because if that's in the first race, that 2 boats gone for the whole regatta.
I guess it's interesting because we had quite a few situations in Bermuda. Obviously, USA and Japan had a big crash there. We're trying to avoid that. We can't afford to be crashing these boats. They're quite delicate. We don't have a bunch of spares, and they take a little while to repair. So, look, it's 2 completely different scenarios. I think you've got Bermuda, where we're traveling at 80 to 90 kilometers an hour in that start and reach, to what we're seeing there, where we're doing 30 to 40 kilometers an hour. Half the boats are doing under 20 kilometers an hour. So it's a completely different playing field. You're sailing a boat in sort of 12 to 14 kilometers an hour of wind to 30 to 40 kilometers an hour of wind. It's a whole different game. So, it's 2 different scenarios. I still feel very strongly that it was a minor infringement on America. You could see he had to take a little more avoiding action there, but not much considering he was turning down for the start the whole time. But a black flag, I kind of feel very strongly that it definitely wasn't, and the umpires probably just got a bit excited.
I don't know what he was looking at, but I just looked at the onboard, and I looked where the Danish were and where we were. Had we just sailed our proper course, we would have put our boat through. I don't know what he's looking at or what he's thinking. He obviously acknowledged that he was wrong. And you keep doing this. Again, he's been a repeat offender of this. Yeah, it's a black flag. I think you got to set the precedent. Maybe if it was another team and it was the first time they did that, maybe not. Surely it's a penalty. Had it been another team that's never done that, I don't know. I don't know what Craig, that's kind of on the judges and that's out of our hands. But maybe it wouldn't have been a black flag if it was another team. I don't know. But Phil has continuously done that, and they have a history of starting high in the box and coming in and barging at the boat, and didn't pay off.
I think it's really interesting when umpires start judging off past events. It'll be like a football player who made a tackle a few games ago, and he gets penalised for making a tackle a lot less harmful or something, and he gets sent off. And Max Verstappen versus Hamilton, he takes him out and gets a 10-second time stop-go penalty. It's a very, very different. It's interesting to hear that umpires are still considering past incidences.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a little bit of that, isn't it? I mean, I'd have to disagree, because you need to really look at each of the incidents on its own merit. I think that in these particular moments, I think the Spanish team have done this maneuver more than anybody else. So But we try not to look at it like that. We try and look at each time, each example. We try and follow the process that we've got in place. So I think we're always going to disagree on that one.
Look, for sure, there is moments where risk is too much, and you're not going to be able to go in there, and you're either going to smash into the bark boat or into your competitor, and at that moment, you're going to pull out of it. In that situation, there was room, and we're always going to go for it. If there's room there again, we're going to go for it. But look, there are moments where, the risk is too much, and you will bail out of it. And I think we've seen that in the starting there, where there is no room, and a lot of boats have bailed out of there. We've bailed out of there, and I think in that event in Plymouth, there were a lot of boats sort of pulling out and tacking around and doing a jibe and starting late. So you got to risk it at some point. It's 5 races, it's a short series, and you've got to be pushing to get in there. I think I think we finished last in Plymouth in the end, but we were 2 points off third, so making the final. So it's such a tight game now, and all the teams are so competitive. So you've got to be prepared, I think, to push it.